we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. We're here at our new time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central on Patriot TV, and I want to thank you guys all for joining us today.
Absolutely. Super excited, Mike. I hope you already had a great weekend. Those of you who are kind of new to the show, we love including the audience as much as possible. Hop in the chat, leave your comments, questions, all that stuff. We'll do our very best to give you a shout out. Super excited right now, guys. I don't know if you're tired of winning yet, but I'm not. It just keeps getting better.
Oh, yeah. We got a fantastic guest with us today, and we got a lot to discuss from it was a, very busy weekend. Annie Cyrus, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing great. If you don't mind me taking a moment, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Derek, for actually committing to 5 days a week on Patriot.tv on behalf of everyone behind the scene at Patriot TV. We're excited. We're very, very excited to have you Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time to noon. You have been part of Patriot TV for a while now, but now you'll be here Monday through Friday. So everyone at Patriot TV, make sure to hop on chat. You know, we're on X, Truth, Social, Rumble, Patriot.tv, and Patriot app. And as Derek said, if you want to join the conversation, Michael and Derek are your guys. They will invite you into the conversation.
Oh, yeah. Derek will be watching the chat, and we'll do the best we can to get to all your questions. And like I said, it was a busy weekend. You know, when Biden wasn't down in the Amazon looking for whatever's left of his Uncle Boozy was eaten by cannibals, he was out trying to start World War III. So, yeah, we're just going to get right into it because we got a lot to cover. In a major policy shift, Biden authorizes Ukraine's use of U.S. missiles to hit targets inside Russia. I want to read a couple more headlines over here also from Breitbart. World War III watch. Lame duck Biden authorizes Ukraine to fire U.S. missiles into Russia. Kremlin warns inevitable escalation, if I could talk. And this is no joke. Putin over the weekend made it very clear that he views this as an escalation from NATO and that they are now at war with NATO. This could really kick off literally World War III. And I really feel like this is the Biden regime's last desperate play to embroil Trump in a war that he won't be able to just end through peace talks immediately. That this is a way to get a little piece of what they want with the deep state, the military-industrial complex, what they really want. What do you guys think?
I'll let Annie go first. Go ahead, Annie.
Well, thank you. Well, as I mentioned yesterday talking to you, Michael, you know, I agree with you. They're going to do all they can. These are the last attempts. But then I'm okay with them doing it. Because at the end of the day, Biden knows he's going home, which is funny. Like, as soon as you said Biden, I'm like, oh, he's still here. He's so faded that I forget he exists, which is sad. Listen, he's going away. He knows his career is over. He knows he's done. But the other ones on the other end, they know who's coming into the office, and they are not going to play into that game. They won't.
I hope not. I mean, look, I think that, you know, it's obvious that the Biden regime is attempting to drag us into a world war, or at the very least create so much more conflict that it's going to make it harder for Trump to negotiate a peace deal. Because, they got to remember that was one of the big things that Trump campaigned on multiple times, was like, I'm going to create peace between these two countries very early on. And so I think that, number one, their goal is to get us into a World War III. I mean, I think we've known that for a long time now. But number two, I think at the worst case scenario, they're hoping to, at the very least, create further division, which will either make it impossible for Trump to negotiate peace, and then the media can spend the next 4 years of talking about how Trump lied on the campaign trail. The only reason people voted for him was to do this, and he can't get it accomplished. He's a failure, and that's kind of what they're setting things up for. But I also want to give a shout out really quick to Storm Echo, JD, and Marble over here in the Twitter chat. Dan Dreyer, as always, in the Rumble chat. And I'm going to be getting to the Twitter or the True Social in a second. Appreciate you guys.
Wow, Dan Dreyer's up early today. Yeah, I mean, we kind of already saw the foreshadowing of this with Blinken making the statement that the Pentagon would find ways to shift assets and, find whatever they could and send all the funds they could over to Ukraine prior to Trump assuming office. And I guess I see this as the natural progression of that. My big concern is if Zelensky does start lobbing rockets into Moscow, and especially if he hits like civilian targets or whatever else, Russia, has already said, tactical nukes are not off the table. And if something like that does happen, then are we really drawn into a conflict where NATO is forced to respond, and then we're stuck in a war with Russia? I mean, I hope that isn't the case. Hopefully Zelensky, I'm sure there's calls going on behind the scenes right now telling them, like, look, if you fire these rockets into there, you're done. But we'll see what happens. And hopefully cooler heads prevail.
But we've been here, not to this extent, but we've been here. The first time President Trump took office, we were in the middle of plenty of nasty wars. Let's not forget about Middle East, Gaza border, Hamas, Hezbollah, IRGC, Israel. The reason I'm sitting here pretty calm about all of this is this is not his first rodeo. He's already, him and his administration are already working on the backup plan of if it does happen that he steps in facing the disaster of Russia and Ukraine, he'll have a backup plan. And again, I want to emphasize, he paid attention. He is not as inexperienced as he was in 2016. I can see that when he talks, when he's doing his picks, whatever it is, I can genuinely see that he picked up a tip here and there. So I'm pretty sure even if worst case scenario does happen, he'll still handle it. It might take longer. Derek's right.
I agree, Annie. I agree. If there's one person I trust to handle this, regardless of the situation, it would be President Trump. I think we have to at least admit, though, that the difference in the wars in the first term was they had been going on for a long time, and so it wasn't as heated, if you will. So I feel like somewhat people were ready for peace, and Trump's the only one that could have done it. Nobody else was even willing to do it. He wants world peace. I think that's a little bit of the difference in this one, is where, like, if they launch rockets, now it's going to be so fresh. It's going to be a little bit harder to do that. And look, I know I'm going to be labeled as a Putin sympathizer by the left when I say this, but at the end of the day, his job is to protect his people. And if they're launching long-range rockets into Russian territory, U.S. supplied rockets, you can't blame him for being upset with the United States government. Doesn't mean he necessarily, I don't know how he feels about all of us as citizens, but you can't blame him for being upset with the United States government. We would be upset with whoever did that as well. And I want to give a quick shout out to at Alpha Mike Yankee, no Jabbity over here at the True Social account. And then P-Shape brought up a really good point over here in the Rumble chat that I think is important to bring up is, Biden didn't go through Congress for any of this. Like, when did we give up our congressional powers to a president to play dictator when it comes to pushing wars and doing all these sorts of things that, basically it's a proxy war. He's making wartime decisions by allowing these sorts of things, and it's putting our entire country at risk. And no one in Congress is doing anything about it. No one in the Senate is calling him out. No one in the House is calling him out. No one is following any paperwork, to my knowledge anyways, to try to prevent Biden from dragging us into World War III. And it's very frustrating. You got, actual citizens, MAGA patriots on social media who are calling for this to end, but no one in the Senate and no one in the Congress. They might tweet a big game and try to raise money off of it, but why aren't you doing anything? Honestly, at this point, this guy is overstepping he has been, but specifically overstepping his constitutional powers right now to try to drag us into a war. And someone in the House and the Senate needs to step up and actually fight back and push back against Joe Biden for doing so.
Well, one thing I want to add to your comment, Derek, about it being possibly, it's fresh. So last year they did a survey and 14% of Ukrainians were all about give them whatever land they want and end this war. This morning, as I was doing what I do every morning when I have my morning coffee, listening to Iran International, they just released a new number, and the 14% have gone up to 39% of Ukrainians being done with this. They're willing to give pieces of their land to end this. So it might be a fresh attack, but people of Ukraine and people of Russia are done with it, which helps the scenario. Second part of your comment, we did that. We gave up on the power of our Congress in 2012 when Hussein Obama signed a paper, made a deal with Iran, and moved over $150 billion. That's when it started.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it probably started before that, where Congress hasn't wanted to do their job and declare wars really since Vietnam. But the power slowly eroded. We've given more and more to the president. And, the intention, the president is supposed to have some limited first strike capability for situations like, say, Grenada. When we have to go in, rescue a bunch of college students, it needs to be done immediately. But when it's a declared war where there's boots on the ground, things like that, Congress has to be involved. We can't keep doing these international police actions or whatever. We've got to go back to operating under the Constitution, and hopefully we see a return to that under President Trump. But right now, unfortunately, Ukraine is not the only place where things are heating up and getting serious. Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, man, I cannot read this morning, in a coma. Everything about secession plans amid clashes with Israel. What can you tell us about this, Annie?
Well, as far as reading, I'm rubbing off on you. That's why you can't read English. But okay, so we very briefly touched on this topic the last time you guys had me on your program. And then overnight, it got heated. Suddenly now, Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, went from being just old to now he's very ill. He's even in a coma. Like, that's it. He's dying. That's done. Yeah. We need to replace him immediately. But they put together a cabinet or committee of all the muftis and ayatollahs of Iran to come up with candidates. And of course, that's a story of its own that we're going to touch in a minute. But when that happens, it's real. At that point, there is no more talk about it. It's like, okay, they are about to replace the supreme leader. Then you look at the situation surrounding this event happening. Mm-hmm. Things are getting very heated. Israel has taken out some of the serious, leaders, Hezbollah and Hamas, and some of them. So the idea started with, what if they actually end up killing Khamenei, them being Israel? That's where the spark started. Then election happened here, and they're like, even if Israel doesn't come after Khamenei, Trump will come after Khamenei. So we better replace him before he's killed, and we face leadership issue inside the country. And overnight, all the rules were broken. Every single Sharia formatting was broken to put this committee together to figure out how to replace him quickly before inauguration and before Israeli military has a chance to go after him. Again, going back to, are you sure some of these people are willing to go up against Trump? Because they're killing their supreme leader because they're afraid of Trump.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and combine this with this, because who are his likely successors over there? Because most of these are probably not on people's radar here in the U.S., but this, again, kind of shows the direction they're probably going to be going.
Yes. Okay. So I need to mention this because it's funny. The committee that was put together of the 5 hardcore ayatollahs stay anonymous. So nobody even know who they are. Now picking the 3 candidates. I will skip all the names because I'm sure nobody will even remember or try to pronounce their names. So I'm just going to give you who they are. Top of the line, again, Khamenei's own son, the second son of Khamenei. Moshtaba Khamenei, I will say that one name because maybe people start hearing that.
Sure.
He has been heavily involved with legislations and policies in Iran for over 27 years. He is known. He actually criticized his father on being way too soft He has been time where he said, my father's aging and aging is causing him to be soft. We all know what Khamenei has done in his time. Now imagine the son who thinks he's soft. He is beyond, how do I phrase this? Is there a word worse than anti-Semite? You know, he's a real Muslim who believes last day will come when he achieved to kill all Jews. That's the first candidate. The second candidate, who's an older man, the most trusted person by the current supreme leader, who's also the Friday prayer leader in Qom. Qom is the most religious city in the world. That's where this guy is located at. He's the second choice. And then the third choice is also another Ayatollah. By the way, I need to make a note here. None of these three have qualification under Sharia to become a supreme leader. That's how much they're breaking the rules, just so you know. None of them have the qualifications, but that's okay. The third person, who's very unlikely to pick this position, it's just they're throwing it in there because they have to have three candidates for it to go to final vote. The third person is also an Ayatollah who's mainly a sit-in Friday prayer type of person.
Sure.
Very anti-Israel, very anti-Jew. However, he was very much more mellow when the original 2012 negotiations of Obama and Iran started. He's the one who's open to talking. He's not open to bending over backward and following all the commands, but he's open to talking. So these are the three candidates. My money is on Khamenei's son. And I had a private talk with you, Michael, about this, that I am extremely worried if he does become the successor, if he does become the new supreme leader. First of all, he's too young for anybody to hope for him to just drop dead of old ages. Secondly, he is going to repeat what his father did when he gained power. He's going to go after every Iranian, citizens in Iran who have any kind of ties to pro-America, pro-Trump, pro-Jews, who are minority religious, like Christians, Baha'is, Jews, and he's gonna kill them every morning for a straight 10 days to create enough fear for the people of Iran to back down so he can deal with the external problem. So I put a post out a few days ago. I repeated, pray for people of Iran, because a lot of innocent lives are about to be taken if this man takes power before inauguration.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things we discussed is they've already got a list of dissidents. There's a lot of people they didn't go after, or dissidents in their eyes, but there's a lot of people they hadn't gone after, hadn't jailed from the original uprising after Mahsa Amini's death. So they've already got a hit list. If they want to send a message to, I think you talked about previously, they had 800 public hangings per day under Khomeini to help clinch power. And we could see something like that. Or even worse, we could see just a total totalitarian crackdown, and there's 60 days of that, which pretty much means it's going to be much harder. That uprising will have ended well before Trump assumes office, and that makes it difficult for him to then find a way to go in and support the people directly to overthrow the government and just have them do it. It's just going to create another situation with a standoff with Iran again.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give a quick shout out to Cinders and Spencer over in the Twitter chat. Jan Loves Trump and P-Shaped over here in one of the Rumble chats, and then Arizona Fitness, a Wired Hot. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And look, at the end of the day, I'm super pumped that Trump is the guy going to be in charge and helping negotiate some of these things that's going on in the Middle East. We've already seen what he was capable of doing in his first term, creating the first time we ever had peace in that region. Or at least as much peace as possible.
Relative,
so I think things, in the grand scheme of things. So I think things are looking much better, now compared to had the Harris regime had somehow won that race or been certified the winner. And so I think that there's a lot of this going on, but it couldn't happen at a better time. If this was all taking place this time last year, I think we'd be having a lot different conversations about a lot of these things going on. And then really quick, I want to give a quick shout out to Treadway19 over in the Truth Social watching. Appreciate you guys.
Yes, I agree. But here's the thing, the experts, not even me, real experts, right? They're putting together scenarios of a supreme leader replacement by his son in Iran. And there are three possible scenarios, and every single one of them ends with the regime will be toppled. Like, they're all sure at this point. They're just buying time. And as I said the last time on your program as well, it's the end of them by Trump coming in. And in a way, when you think about it, they're actually making the wrong moves, because they're doing this before Trump even gets to office. He will have 4 years to help the people of Iran or help the Israeli military to topple these evil monsters. They're actually they're ahead of their own game, and this is going to cause them. The only difference is it's going to be a lot bloodier than it would be. They're not going to, this guy's not going to just come say, okay, let's talk. We're going to stop building our nuclear weapons and you can control things. A lot more innocent people are going to die, but every single scenario ends with people of Iran marching the streets, going for uprising. Trump is inaugurated. Israeli military is after it. So in a weird way, as sad as I am knowing how many innocent people are going to die again, but there's so much light at the end of this one tunnel that we're willing to take that loss. Even people of Iran on social media are saying that they're okay with dying, knowing this could be the end of suffering of the whole country after 46 years. That's how sure they are this time.
Yeah, and that's the thing is changing the regime in Iran brings peace to so many other places around the world. It ends this reign of terror that we've seen across the Middle East and around the world. Maybe it doesn't end it, but it puts a giant stop on it. All the financing, supply, logistics, and all that comes out of Tehran, that puts an end to all that. Guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and then we're going to be right back with even more.
Former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military. Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV store, a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
The Donor Deck represents a groundbreaking independent crowdfunding initiative driven by patriots like you to bring back our esteemed President Donald J. Trump to office. With unwavering passion, we pledge all profits from the sale to MAGA Inc. and Fight Like a Flynn PAC. The exquisitely detailed challenge coin is a timeless collectible to be passed down to generations. It symbolizes your continuous dedication to assisting President Trump in his quest to rejuvenate America to its former greatness. Get your Donor Deck now. Go to thepatriot.tv store and click on Donor Deck. Enjoy the magnificent artwork and scripture on each playing card, knowing our appreciation for your continuous dedication to assisting President Trump in his quest to rejuvenate America to its former greatness. You'll get this keepsake collectible challenge coin acknowledging your support for Donald Trump's run back to the White House, and the Donor Deck of 52 exquisite playing cards, plus a beautiful display case to show your challenge coin. Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now.
Thank you for staying with us, and please support our sponsors. That's what allows Patriot TV to bring you programs like this and everyone else that you see across Patriot TV's network. And remember, both Donor Deck and Flynn's movie make great stocking stuffers, even for your liberal relatives. All right, guys.
I think that's actually the best part of it, specifically for your liberal.
Before we move on, I just want to let everybody know how lucky we are, for anybody who's new to Patriot TV, how lucky we are to have Anni Cyrus here, who is literally an expert on everything in the Middle East. I mean, she's from there. You guys need to look her up. We don't have time to get into the whole thing, but she's literally an expert. She legally immigrated here from there. She's a true American patriot, and we're very fortunate to have somebody who has that intel and that expertise to bring that to all the shows across Patriot TV. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, I appreciate that, Derek. And let me finish the circle of compliments. We appreciate everybody supporting Patriot.tv because we need your support. But here's a way you can support the network while supporting Michael and Derek. Go to Patriot.tv, right? And then /insurrections. One word, insurrection. All of their affiliates and the sponsors tied to the network is within their landing page. So when you make a purchase through their landing page, they will also receive credit because we can track that the purchase or support came from their show, which now they be doing 5 days a week. Guys, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of cost. So support the network, but make sure you support your favorite hosts, Michael Lauber and Derrick Evans, through their landing page on Patriot TV.
Well, thank you. And thank you very much for that. And I want to say to our audience too, like having you on today to deliver this news, you're going to probably hear a lot of this stuff 2 or 3 days before you start hearing it echoed by the mainstream media. They're always behind the 8 ball with what's really happening across the Middle East and Iran, unless it's, major news from an Israeli strike. And even then, you're probably not getting the truth about it till 2 or 3 days later. So you might as well get it now from Annie while she's here. And if you guys have any questions about this, send them in, because now's your opportunity to ask. You sent in one other story related to this, and let me get it pulled up here so I can give the right headline. Iran's foreign minister under fire for denial of Musk meeting. What's this all about?
Okay, you guys are going to get a good kick out of this. Some of the clerics in Iran came out guns blazing that Elon Musk sat down and had a meeting with UN ambassador, Iran's, how do we say that in English?
UN ambassador for
Iran's
Iran.
UN ambassador, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I went looking, as far as our end, neither Elon Musk or President Trump campaign, nobody has confirmed nor denied this, right? So I go, and CBS and some other leftist media have touched on there is going to be a meeting. And then the foreign minister in Iran comes out and says, what meeting? What are you talking about? Me? No. What? No. We have nothing to say to Elon Musk. So I can't, because Elon Musk or the Trump administration has not commented, I can't deny or confirm that there was a request for a meeting or not, or what the case is. But not only President Trump is already creating problems for the regime, now Elon Musk has to step in and created a whole fight over a possible meeting. Like it goes level, but I think the next person is, I don't know, RFK Jr. and everybody else there. They're just going to fight each other. Now, on the serious note, they are saying that the more of a involved with government people of Iran are saying there is going to be a meeting. It's going to be kept secret. And our UN ambassador has been given orders to be open to negotiation. So I'm putting this out there. They have confirmed that they have given their ambassador to talk and listen, not to make any decisions or promises, but at least they have opened that window. But I just figured our audience would get a good kick out of it's not Trump only. Elon Musk is also creating a lot of fire over there.
They must be taking their cues from our media. Good Lord.
Well, and Elon was also involved in the call with Zelensky and Putin as well. I mean, and you got to remember, specifically when a lot of that stuff happened, Elon sent his Starlink stuff over there and gave these people free internet. So he is somebody that they respect, at least in that regard, from a humanitarian issue. So I have no doubt that his voice would at least play, I think it would play a pretty significant role in these peace negotiations, considering the fact that, he's been able to do those things. And so I think that Elon, I think it's been fascinating. We've talked about it on the show before, watching the red pill of Elon Musk in public, because when he first came out, I truly don't think that he was, this far conservative. I think he was really a free speech absolutist. And I think that the left, like they have done to so many people across the country, is they've attacked him and attacked him and attacked him so much that it really just forces people further to the right in terms of being attacked by the left. And I think that they bit off more they could chew on this, and they've almost kind of created a conservative version. And I hate to even say this because it's not fair to Elon Musk, but for lack of better words, a conservative version of George Soros in terms of the funding that he can bring to the table. And so I think that that this is a huge win for America all across the board as Elon Musk gets more and more involved in the Republican Party and the MAGA movement more so than the Republican Party.
Yeah,
yes, and even though I have my own personal issues with Elon Musk, which hopefully he'll work through those, but it is important to give him credit. Another thing Elon Musk did for Iranian people is when the uprising after death or murder of Mahsa Amini was taking place, he did create a sort of a technology of his own for Iranians to be able to continue accessing their X account, even though the government was filtering all these apps. He went out of his way to continue giving access to people of Iran to continue reporting and posting videos of what's happening in Iran. So that's one of the other reasons the Iranian people are actually a huge fan of Elon Musk for his help. He did try to get him a Starlink, but unfortunately that was not possible. But he did help them through giving them open gates through the filters of the regime to continue having access to X.
Gotcha.
Well, that actually brings up another kind of interesting point now, because Starlink is something you could hold over the regime's head too, because now that they have that where it works on iPhones and some Android devices, they don't have to send in the satellite dishes. So this could basically be a situation where you have essentially like Radio Free Europe, Radio Free America, where all I'd have to do is retask satellites as they go overhead, offer internet, open it up to the people of Iran, and then that ends their censorship regime. It also opens up communication so they can organize in a way that the Islamic government can't interfere with or get down names or whoever else, figure out who's working with the resistance. This could be a very powerful tool towards collapsing their regime and protecting the citizens there as they fight back.
100%.
Absolutely. And I know we're getting ready to move on to everything. Before we do, I do have an audience question here from Alex Bostic in the Twitter chat. And like we said, guys, so anybody who's new to this, especially to our show, we try our best to include you guys in the show and answer questions when we're still on topic. Alex Bostic has a question for Annie. He says, does the Persian versus Arab culture come into play in regards to Israel?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So here, short version answer. The Arab culture against Israel narrows itself down to Palestine versus Israel scenario. That's the only connection of culture. Literally, the hate is unfortunately rooted. The Persian culture comes from Cyrus the Great, the man who freed the Jews. That's where our mindset come from. We come from unity with Jews, whereas to Arabs come from hatred toward Jews. So that's the biggest difference. That's why you barely see Iranians involved with those attacks. I should actually put this may not be a known information. Majority of IRGC leaders are not Iranians. They're Arabs. Many of them are Pakistanis. Some are Indians. But you barely convince an Iranian by culture to go kill Jews.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it was a culture of its own. It was mini America, and then this Islamic Revolution was by force. The majority of the people did not want to convert. But yeah, let's go ahead and pull up our next story, because Cocaine Mitch is out there creating problems again. He just can't let go of power. Yes, there will be. Senator Rick Scott claps back after reporter alleges that Mitch McConnell will not allow Trump recess appointments. Well, the turtle really doesn't get a say in this anymore. He's let go of power. That we've got John Thune to deal with, and everybody knows part of the deal he cut with Trump for Trump not to back Scott, or even go and say that that's who we should have over there. To be honest, they were all three bad choices, but he doesn't have the juice anymore. Thune cut a deal, and Thune better stick to it. And in reality, when you look at some of these just wacko birds that were approved during the Biden regime, we got our favorite cross dressers. We got our what's his name? The Health and Human Services Administrator. Not to mention Sam Brinkman, the guy that was going around stealing luggage. We approved a bunch of losers, idiots, people that they shouldn't have been able to pass a mental health exam, let alone have power in government. And now they're mad because they want to put Gates and some of these other people in that are going to break all their toys. Too bad. This is who Trump wants in. And if it's got to be done through recess appointments, I guess that's the way it's going to be. But really, they should get fair hearings and approvals. But there's too many rhinos and too many leftists, and they move as a block.
Absolutely. Well, quick shout out to Bebo Bot over in the Rumble chat as well. Look, at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. Mitch McConnell is no longer in specific charge officially, but he is still in charge. All these people opposed Rick Scott for the very reason of a moment such as this. They knew that when it came down to it, John Thune is nothing more than a clone of Mitch McConnell, somebody who just doesn't have dementia right now and doesn't glitch out on stage. But other than that, he's exactly the same as Mitch McConnell. The guard never changed, if you will. We had a very good moment here to actually make some serious change within the Senate leadership. And unfortunately, I believe that Mitch McConnell is still going to be running a lot of these things behind the scenes. And that's the reason that a lot of these spineless jellyback rhinos, such as Shelley Moore Capital here in West Virginia, for instance, through their support behind John Thune, because that now they knew that they could undermine Trump's agenda in these appointments. It's really sad what's taking place here. And I hope that people will step up. And honestly, I would love to see somebody make a motion to vacate at some point when the time comes, just like Matt Gaetz did in the House. But we've got to get Matt Gaetz in there as Attorney General. He knows where the bodies are at, and we need people in the Senate who's going to support that.
Yes.
It's funny. You literally just answered my question, Derek, because as you guys are talking, I'm sitting like, can somebody just move for, motion to vacate and get rid of this bad guy too? But then I remember what Michael said, that all options are like, do we have a good option right now? Who do we replace him with?
Well, that's
I really don't.
That's kind of the problem in the Senate, is there really isn't. And there are so many more rhinos that have been there for, 600 years accumulating power. And they will move in lockstep with the Democrats. So even if you did get somebody that was acceptable, you still wouldn't be able to peel off all these rhino votes. There's about 10 to 15 of them that'll move in lockstep with the left to prevent a reformer or a conservative or anybody like that. Anybody that is not part of the uniparty apparatus, they'll do everything they can to prevent it.
Well, people have to remember that when it comes to the U.S. Senate. So the U.S. Senate is really the epitome of the swamp in terms of our elected representatives. And the reason why is a third of them are up every 2 years because it's a 6-year term that they run for. So even if we started making changes right now to replace these rhinos with true America First patriots, it would take us a minimum of 6 years to do that. And that would be if we were successful on every single primary going forward. Whereas the House, they're up every 2 years. And so it's a little bit easier to get some significant change there. The Senate is really the state, the deep state at work through, quote unquote, elected officials, elected representatives. And that's what you're seeing play out here right now. Are these people are enshrined in Capitol Hill? They think that they are, they're too big for the britches. They think that they are too big for the American people. You got to remember that our founding fathers originally created the U.S. Senate to be elected by the legislatures. People are forgetting that. We've got away from that to where now they're elected by the people at the state level. But originally they were elected by your state legislators in a public vote to do that. And I believe, I don't know, maybe I think we should be looking into to at least considering going back to that and kind of taking some of this power away from these people, because our senators have gotten so much power now that in a lot of cases they're more powerful than the governor of the state. And I don't think it was ever really intended to be that way.
Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, and this is the thing, like that gave the state a bigger role in the process too. They were trying to send somebody to Washington that would best represent the state's interest, the state government's interest. So there was a lot more control over that person. Whereas right now it's easy for the swamp to grab control. I think maybe as we start to see some of these new policies enacted, some of that will ease up as the toys that they've been playing with to attack and manipulate all of us for years start getting broken. Because I'm going to go ahead and pull our next story here, because that's kind of where that ties into. Pack up, bureaucrats. Vivek Ramaswamy reveals how Trump, with the help from DOJ, will abolish entire government agencies and crush the administrative state. And I think that really is what they fear right now, are these people coming in that are going to expose the corruption behind the scenes, expose the money laundering, the waste, the fraud, the abuse. Will start eliminating these permanent entrenched bureaucrats, those silent faces in these government agencies that use their power to inflict damage to their political opponents, which is all of us that are on the conservative right that want to, make America great again, the America First movement.
Absolutely agree. I mean, and the Twitter chat's popping off over here. And, Alex Bostic says it's because our Congress and Senate is truly and firmly in communist control. And then JD had mentioned at Alpha Mi Omega said the Senate is supposed to make sure that all bills are constitutionally sound before they can move on, and which is 100% true. In terms of the Vivek situation here, this is their biggest fear. This is exactly what we had all voted for Trump the first term and thought we were going to get it in the first term. But I think that all of us, including President Trump, really underestimated how deep the swamp was, how corrupt and powerful the swamp was. And the first term was really all about, and even the last 4 years under Biden has primarily been all about exposure, shining light on that darkness. And now that we've got all that exposed, and I think that Trump has a whole new perspective in terms of actually going through with abolishing these agencies after they, raided his home, went through his wife's underwear drawer, tried to send him to prison for 1,000 years, literally attempted to assassinate him multiple times. So I think that he's got a whole new perspective now in terms of that. And then after overcoming all of that and getting elected in the way that he did, he has to know now that the reason he won that election so big is because what the media is forgetting is this is not a mandate from President Trump to have massive change. This is a mandate from the American people. We just sent President Trump to go deliver that mandate to abolish these unconstitutional three-letter agencies and completely destroy them to where they can never come back ever again.
Yeah, and it kind of relevant, but not. I also feel like, it has always been the myth that Trump created the division and Trump's going to continue creating division and all that. I was one of the people right around the election time said, our division is just like getting out of control. But watching, I feel like this is, at least in my life in America, I feel like this is the first time that the Republicans, all candidates and all parties, people involved, have come back and united with President Trump in position he needs them. I have not heard a single one of them say, I don't want this position, or I'm better at that position, or I'm done with you because you won, I lost. It seems like it's all fading away. They're all coming together to do the right thing. And I feel like we will follow with them to where the country is going to start coming together. I mean, we still have the crazies, don't get me wrong. But majority of this country, it seems like our leaders are finally showing good example of unity where we can follow their examples. Like, you know what? We have our differences, but we can still be one nation, which to me, it's very hopeful.
Well, I think you're exactly right that is starting to get through to some people. They're realizing the country is on a different course. And I also think that's part of what's scaring the swamp monsters. We got to go to break real quick. But as soon as we get back, I'm going to give you guys one other example that should just solidify in everyone's minds exactly why we've got to replace some of these three-letter agencies, expose everything to the best disinfectant. Sunlight needs to come out in the public, and we need to end this unlimited bureaucracy in D.C. So stay with us. We'll be right back with even more.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's showing up more energy, more get up and go. And it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
The host page you want to look for is patriot.tv/insurrection. That is the host page you go through. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Thank you for staying with us. And if you're still banking at one of these big monster mega banks, I don't know why you haven't moved out yet. We've already seen, they'll censor people or debank them for having not supporting transing the kids, other views that are popular among these big monster mega banks. Put your money with somebody that supports your values. Stop spending money with companies that hate you. It's time to support Americans here that have pro-American views that align with us. It's time to retake this country and the culture. And the way we're going to do that is with our wallets.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of wallets and giant losses of money, Pentagon fails 7th audit in a row, unable to fully account for $824 billion budget. These people want more money. If you couldn't account for $2,000 on your taxes, Annie, what would happen to you?
Oh, no, you cannot not do that. No, every penny needs to be counted for. You need to recall every down to cents, and you have to have receipt for what you're claiming. Oh, you bought a computer for your company? Let me see the receipt. And if you by accident, instead of 27 cents, you put 72, oh, you're going to be audited. You're going to face penalties because you flipped through numbers. But then we're not Pentagon. They get to like disappear. It's magic, right? It's magic.
Yeah.
It's like gone.
Yeah. Well, I think that the Pentagon should start sending and receiving money via Venmo, considering that they have actually came out now and said that anything over $600 has to be audited. So maybe they should start sending and receiving money via Venmo and Cash App, so that way we can keep track of that. Same for the money that's been going to Ukraine and all these other countries. Send it via Venmo and Cash App, so that way they can actually go after these people the same way they want to go after some young kid who's mowing grass in the summer and receiving those payments via Venmo. They want to come after that kid now. So they need to do the same thing to these people. This is absolutely despicable. This is absolutely disgusting. This is even more reason that I'm excited about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, to get in there and actually start auditing and exposing a lot of this corruption, because I believe that a lot of this is actual fraud. I know obviously there's some waste and abuse, but I think a lot of this is fraud. I think they're money laundering to each other. You don't just miss that much money. I in terms of the size of their budget, I would even say, a couple million would be like, okay, there's some accounting errors, or like something got lost in the shuffle, whatever. We're talking about a massive amount of money that probably most of us, in terms of normal people, can't really even comprehend that amount of money. And it's not just missing; it has been laundered, and it is fraud. And I hope that these people are found and prosecuted to the fullest extent.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely being laundered. I mean, when you look through some of the line items that are unaccountable for, where they paid 7,000 times more than the face price for certain items, like it is absolutely insane. Everybody always laughs about, oh yeah, $20,000 for a toilet seat, $1 million for a hammer, ha ha ha. Well, no, I mean, this is our money, and like you said, Derek, like, with a budget that size, if they couldn't account for, some office supplies, or there were small minor accounting errors, minor in perspective, that total to a few million, I would say that would basically be acceptable. That's human error between everybody in the departments. We all know, like, that's going to be the failure point. This is intentional. This is not a small budgeting mistake or losing, not being able to figure out who you sent all the bottles of white out to or whatever. This is real problems. This is systemic fraud, and this is, I think, proof of money laundering. I can't wait till they tear into this and they start getting some answers, and some people start getting fired and jailed for the waste, fraud, and abuse that they are causing with our tax dollars. Not to mention, who knows what dark, horrible programs this money is really being funneled to.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I actually, Derek, I wouldn't, like, if you asked me to write $824 billion, I would just put the B in front of it, because I have no idea how many zeros are going to take to get to billion. But can you imagine $824 billion? How many of our veterans would get proper help? How many of families or single people like me would be able to adopt kids?
Yeah.
How many Americans would not have to go to 3 different jobs to feed their families? A lot of them.
The recovery in North Carolina. I mean,
yeah,
that money would turn around and help these people who are, struggling from these hurricanes and these natural disasters, and do a lot of that. How many towns out there still don't have, are under the same situation as Flint was, without actual clean drinking water? I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable. This is happening. Furthermore, when it comes to this $824 billion worth of fraud, is what I'm going to call it, missing from the Pentagon, where are our elected officials on this? This is the 7th audit in a row that the Pentagon has failed. But you know what? Every single time it comes up to a vote to continue funding all of these organizations that are failing their audits, our Republicans in the Senate and the House continue to fund these people at the fullest extent. I'm sorry, at the very least, they should be cutting their budget by however much is missing, however much they can't account for. At the very minimum, they should be cutting those budgets to make up for that. But no, there's no accountability here. So, I mean, 7 in a row that they have failed, and we're talking massive amounts in terms of billions of dollars each time. We're probably over, I mean, they no problem. We're in the trillions of dollars right now over the last 7 years that these people can't account for, but there's no accountability from our so-called conservatives in the House and the Senate. And this is even further proof as to why we need to slash all of these departments, completely abolish the three-letter agencies. They're unconstitutional anyways. Do away with them and return the power back to the states, and do away with this money laundering scheme that's going on in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling a lot of them aren't doing anything about it because a lot of them are receiving part of that money.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
100%.
Given the number of failed audits, and let's not forget, right before 9/11, they also had an audit where, what was it, $2 trillion the Pentagon couldn't account for. So this is trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, and this is something that's gone on for decades and decades and decades. We have to get to the bottom of this, stop the problem, and at the very least, things have to be transparent. That doesn't mean there aren't legitimate reasons to have some, say, black budget items that aren't known to the public, but we can still. Yeah, sorry. But we can still have accountability that the money was spent and what program it went to, whatever, even if that program is secret and we can't tell the public about it. Well, that's not the only kind of accountability they're talking about. And this is another one I think is great that the media is just going nuts about. Trump team waives court-martial for officers who oversaw Afghanistan withdrawal. And something I've noticed with this is our media is trying to portray this as they're going to be going after people that were on the ground during the evacuation. And that is not the case. What Trump and the officials in the administration want to do is go to leadership within the military and within the government, find out where the failures were and hold those people accountable. This is not about somebody on the ground that made a snap decision because of the rules that they were under because of the Biden regime. This is accountability for the people that set those rules.
Absolutely. I want to give a quick shout out to Caroline for Congress over here in the Twitter chat. Says, talking about Congressman Brown Fitzpatrick is one of those people that Annie was alluding to is probably getting kickbacks from some of this stuff. But in terms of the failure in the Afghanistan withdrawal, look, this was a massive failure on the world stage in front of the whole world for everyone to see. It was an embarrassment to our country. We know that there were people who lost their lives. There absolutely needs to be a proper investigation done into this. And anyone who, if it was negligence, then they should at the very least never be allowed to be in this position of power within our military ever again. And if there was anything, malicious done about this, they absolutely need to be held accountable, and there needs to be a proper investigation to get to the bottom of it.
Yes, and I specifically want to know who signed off on leaving billions of dollars of military equipment. I really want to know who signed off on that, because that
Taliban.
Yeah,
exactly. When that ended up, circling back, going through IRGC, making its way back to Hamas, it wasn't just Taliban. It was like, I want to know that who was that one person who said, hey, listen up. It is absolutely all right to leave our latest technology behind. No problem. Just do it. I want to know who that person was.
Oh, I know. And yeah, we've already seen these weapons used across the Middle East. We also know they've been sent down to the cartels through South America and other places. They're going around the world. The Taliban's selling some of this stuff off. They've sent other things over to China to be deconstructed so they can learn how to produce weapons or make countermeasures against weapons that we have. And as you said, a lot of this stuff is not easy to reproduce. I always harp on the night vision because people, don't think a lot of people really understand. Like, that's, buy a superpower. And that's something that's gives us such a huge advantage. That's why when you hear about, a team of a dozen guys going out and killing 200 Taliban fighters out in Afghanistan, that's how they do it. You can be invisible. And getting that technology proliferated across the Middle East to known terrorists who are then selling it to criminal warlords in South America, to Russia, to China, and whoever else to deconstruct so they can make it on their own. That puts all of us at risk here and around the world.
Absolutely. JD over in the Twitter chat brings up a great point. It's classified. And that's the thing. So let me go and tell you, it's so-called classified. I'm sure they need to declassify everything in terms of what was took place in the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. There needs to be some accountability for this, and we got to remember that people lost their lives. There are Gold Star families out here now because of this, whether it was negligence or fraud or malicious or whatever. We don't really know yet, but all we can do is speculate on that. There absolutely needs to be declassified, needs to be an investigation, and that needs to be released to the public for everyone to see. And then people need to be held accountable, whether it was negligence or fraud or malicious intent. Either one, there needs to be accountability on this so that this never happens again. And same for, like you said, leaving the military equipment behind for the Taliban to receive. There absolutely needs to be some investigations into that as well.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I want to. We've only got a few minutes left, so I want to get into like one kind of funny but a good news story. So over the weekend, really starting Friday night, we started to sort of see a shift in public. President Trump's signature dance takes over the NFL. No more kneeling as Trump dance celebrations explode across NFL. Video from the Lions, the Titans, the Raiders, the 49ers all join in. And it wasn't just there. We also saw this over at the UFC fight, and even people in the crowd around the Tyson Jake Paul fight. That this is becoming part of the popular culture, and this is another thing that's just sending the media just to the moon right now. There's heads exploding all over the place, because this is the one thing they really didn't want to see happen, is the America First movement become part of pop culture. We're not taking over yet, but this is a big step, and I don't know, it makes me smile. How about you guys?
I definitely enjoyed it with NFL. Actually, I was watching one of the games when it happened. I'm like, wait, is he doing the Trump dance? It's like, oh, he is doing the Trump dance. I guess my biggest reason of enjoying it with NFL is, we all know NFL went really deep into the woke culture for a while. So it was very refreshing to watch some of them come back and say, hey, you can't get me anymore. I'm going to show my true colors. I'm a Trump supporter. I think that's the main part of it. A lot of these players, I don't defend them for doing what they did, but a lot of them back down and head in the corner, not telling publicly who they support. But now they have that strength to say, yep, we're a Trump supporter and there's nothing you can do. It was pretty awesome.
I agree 100%. I mean, here's the thing. I'm a former collegiate first-team All-American football player, and I stopped watching NFL a long time ago. So, I mean, I say it because I love football. I stopped watching NFL, I don't know, years ago now, because of how woke they went. And so I saw the clips of this, and I did smile really big. I was like, oh, man, this is awesome. It's a huge turning point in that regard. And so hopefully that this trend will continue. I know it's went viral on TikTok multiple times. It's been all over social media, and now it's getting into the professional sports and the celebrities and all of that. I think one of the turning points from this was the guy from, I believe it was the 49ers, I don't remember his name, wore the MAGA hat in the background of an interview or whatever, and he got blasted by the media, but his sales of his apparel and stuff went up, and he got a ton of support. And I think that showed some of the other players, like, it's okay if you do this, it's okay if the media attacks you, because the American people agree with you. And so, like Annie said, it kind of gave them a little bit of courage to step up and be vocal on those issues. So I think it's a huge win. And as you said, Mike, this is something that the left is fearful of right now, because they've always owned the culture, the pop culture wars and the battles, and they're losing their grip on that, just like they are everything else right now.
Exactly. And winning the culture war is key to our success. The American people are tired of listening to the media and everyone else's crap on America over and over and over again. It's time to celebrate America, celebrate everything that makes us unique and special, the opportunities that we create for ourselves and for everybody around the world. It's time to return to be. We are unfortunately out of time. Annie, what's the best place for our audience to find you?
liveuptofreedom.com. liveuptofreedom.com is where you can find all things Anni Cyrus.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining us today on our inaugural day here at 11 a.m. Eastern on Patriot TV. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back again tomorrow with even more.